You are now listening to the Super Coach Experience. The Super Coach Experience. The Super Coach Experience.
Hello and welcome to the Super Coach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Savage, the coach of the Savage Turbos. I'm joined here by the coach, Tripjacker Mafia, Mikey. How are you, Mikey?
Good, mate. Good always to be on and talking some Super Coach.
And the coach of Raymond Noodles, Jake. How are you, Jake?
I'm good.
Jake, obviously coming off a crucial head-to-head win in the Turbo Hammies Cup.
Oh, well, not really. They're not so much crucial in those because I'm kind of down the bottom, but a couple of cash leagues were crucial. Savs, we managed to sneak in one of the $50 ones, and a good round. I got a 12.84 in the last round, and it sort of helped me make some cash leagues. I thought I wouldn't make any, but I've made a couple.
Yeah, with that $50 one, I think I was ninth last week. We were talking about it, and I was 1 point out, and I didn't have the greatest week, but still managed to sneak in, so I'm pretty happy with that. Mikey,
all five of us are in there, I think, Savs. The three of us, and we got Timmy and Justin too, so that'll be an interesting one to see who takes that one out.
So there's only three people who have entered from the outside there. That's pretty cool. Mikey, You're, as always, head comps, you're pretty much up in all of them.
Yeah, look, I have such a good record with just getting myself into finals contentions. Even this year, it looked like I was having a poor year, but I've come home strong. Only one league. It was one of the Super Coach Experience $20 ones. I came second last in. It just shows you how much it's just the luck of the draw. But the rest of them, I made 8 out of 9, and all the $50 ones I entered. I came in the top 4. So. I actually won, first place in 2. So I'm in a good position for all of it, but we're coming down to the end of the season. Everyone, or I'm not assuming everyone, but, I'm down on trades. Injuries keep on coming. So I think there are a bit of tactics you can do for the end of the season. I've got a few tactics up my sleeve. That's even with just the one trade left. But, it's a crucial time, and this is the most exciting time. So looking forward to it.
Very good. The comment up on the screen here, Adam Sargent, very snazzy shirt, channeling your inner Rob Sutherland, Mikey.
I do like my striped shirts. It's not a button-up. I think it's a bit more snazzier than Rob Sutherland, but feeling bright today, so got a shirt to match it.
You're also a bit less of a douchebag than him as well.
Whoa. Look, typical Savs dig. Rob Sutherland's an interesting bloke, but
it's going to be.
Appreciate his opinion.
It's going to be a rogue episode. So lads, how Jake, we'll start off with you. 12.80 odd. How did you go, and what's your plans going forward?
Yeah, 12.85. I got the second highest with Wilfred in the Turbo Hammies. Only beat by the great Tim Moody, who stays on top. I think he's extended his lead, maybe. He stays on top. But, 12.85. Got depth in my team. I lost, obviously, Crichton, but got enough depth this week to hopefully keep going and getting some wins, because I think it's do or die for me every week here on in. I
agree. I guess mentioning Timmy, how good is he at number 1? Extended the lead again. It was, I guess, just a little bit of an extension, but nonetheless, he's in a really good position and he's avoided the injuries.
Yeah, he's going to win it, I reckon. We have faith in our Timmy, and we're backing all the way in.
I got faith. I don't want to jinx him. There's still 4 weeks to go, so there's still a lot of effort to be made, and it's definitely, the competition's not done with yet, but, of course, we're going to be rooting on Timmy, and it'd be nice to see him done.
For sure. Don't want to jinx him. He's in a great position, and, Tim, I can't wait to hear your thoughts after this episode. But yes, Timmy has been very stressed during this period, and he deserves to win it because he's worked his ass off to get there. Mikey, you're on the Adrianosaurus Rex podcast on the weekend.
Yeah, it was fun. I haven't done a podcast like away from you guys, like or in the SC experience in such a long time. I think it's one of the first times I've ventured off, and it was just nice to have a different dynamics. And instead of the kind of structure we do, totally different. Like asking questions more so about the future of the game and stuff. So yeah, it was cool. I thought we balanced pretty well off each other, and it's cool that now with all these podcasts, a lot of us keep appearing as guests on other shows, and instead of it being a competition, it's just a big community. And I think that's the one thing I love about it, because we all have such heavy influence and we have such heavy thoughts, so it's nice to kind of share it around a bit, and it unlocks a different kind of side of knowledge to yourself that you don't normally get. So yeah, thanks Data, that was fun.
I really enjoyed that episode, so I guess go check it out. You've got time in lockdown, I guess. Mikey, how'd you go on the weekend?
Yeah.
And what are you planning on this week? You did say before the episode you got a trade left and you're going to use it.
Yeah, so let me quickly, it's going to be, as usual, a little bit of a long dive so I can fully extract what's in my mind right now. It has been a very stressful week deciding what to do with the trade. Last week, well, yet again, the Campbell Graham's been absolutely killing my super coach side. Brian Toa I'm holding, so I've had to play an AE again last week. Luckily this week, with Hughes being fit and Hines playing and all that kind of stuff, I only just had to cop an AE. Unfortunately, it was Herrera Naira's 25. I also played Luai over Kenny Bromwich, which cost me 30 points, but I dished up a 12.55, and that was enough to win 8 out of 10 leagues. 8 of those 9 were cash comps. I lost a friendly one. But yeah, other than that, man, I was happy with my efforts there. 12.55. It saw me rise 288 spots, so I'm still in the 3,000s, but I'm right at the cusp. I'm at 3,049. So, look, I do need a big week to push into there, but if I don't finish in the top 1,000, I can win a cash comp. That's kind of where my focus is, man. This isn't right now. I'm in head-to-head zone, and I'll be playing as a head-to-head player. So, yeah, if you verse me this week, I probably won't say who I'm bringing in, but I've got 3 options. I personally haven't made the trade yet. This week, yet again, no Campbell Graham, no Brian Toa. I've also got Benny Travojevic, and I have who's the other guy? I've got Suwali. So I literally have no depth in my center wings. Thank you, Timmy. But yeah, I haven't made any of the trades in my center wings, so I'm going to have to make it there, because I think going into head-to-head finals, I'm playing 5 to get up to the grand final and 4 knockouts. So I think you want to go hard. I want to make sure if I win nearly all those this week, I'll get a round off next week where I can deal with carnage, and if I can get through, it'd be better for my side. Yeah, I just refuse to play an AE this week when I have a trade up my sleeve. So I'm bringing in a center wing. A big call. I was looking at selling Brian To'o, but I think if there's a chance he comes back, he'd be huge for a preliminary finals or a grand final. Same with Angus Crichton. So I could have gone Angus Crichton to Cam Murray, but I think Angus Crichton, if I get through to some grand finals, would be crucial for my head-to-head. And same with Brian To'o. We don't know the word. If Penrith are doing well and they're in the, comfortably in the top 2, I don't think we see him appear. They're not going to rush him back, but I've heard whispers out that he could potentially return next week. I don't think he will. It depends how serious he is, because the Bunnies game is a huge game for Penrith next week. But I thought if for some reason he comes back for the preliminary finals, I need to hold Brian To'o. So I'm going to sell Corey Herrera Naira. That's who I'm looking to sell. He's going to shed all that cash. I can trade him to a few blokes. And the key thing is I can send Benny Travojevic up to the second row where I've got a bit more depth, and then it allows me to hold Brian To'o. And I also I'll have, when he comes back, if he comes back, I'll have 2 reserve center wings. So it's about moving around what I have to make it a bit better. There's 3 guys at the top of the list for center wing. One Sav Zones, and I've been slowly coming around to him. It's Valentine Holmes. I can't ignore him. He's playing fullback. He's kicking goals. He's not really kicking them that well, but he's kicking goals for now. I do like their draw. I think he could be in for a big score this week, and I think he will consistently score in the 70 to 100 range, and he does have a high ceiling. Option number 2, which this is just the type of move that I will always do, and it's in my mind, is Owen Aitken. I've had Owen Aitken in my side so many times. He's only owned by 1%. He's nowhere near the top 10 brought in this week. He costs $480K. The downside is I don't know if we keep playing second row, but with how he's been performing, I think he will. He scored 130 and a 90. First game, 2 tries. Second game, 1 try. But without it, his base is about 50 in the second row, which I think is pretty good. And Warriors have such an easy run home. They play like Broncos, Bulldogs, Tigers. Like, I really like that run home. So I think there is a lot of attacking stats up for Aiken. And then the third one that I was looking at was Joey Manu. To bring in Joey Manu, I would have to sell Brian To'o. So I think Penrith normally posts an update on like the injury and how their guys are doing. So I'm going to look at that heavily and see what news they give about To'o. But I really think it's between Aiken or Holmes. I think Manu, he's got an excellent run coming home. You got to pay premium price, but if you only have one trade left, it doesn't matter. If you can make it happen, I think the tries are going to keep coming. He's been scoring ridiculous, and although he's owned by 13%, I still think he could be a key person for head-to-head matchups. Go back to you, Savs. What do you think's on those? I know you're obviously keen on Holmes, but what do you reckon?
I love Holmes. I love Aiken. I think Joey Manu, I wouldn't go near him if he stays in the centres, but I'm liking how they're shifting him to the wing, or when he plays wing, fullback or 5'8", he absolutely kills it. At centre, a 34 is pretty much what he's going to get. I know Timmy owns him, and he wasn't actually going to play him on the weekend, and then he did when he saw the news. He went to wing, and I think that's a perfect strategy to go with. Because I mean, against the Broncos this week, who knows if he's a good play? Maybe that's why you're very
definitely
keen on,
is.
yeah, that's
He definitely is.
maybe that's why you're keen on him. But I think if I was ranking them guys, Joey Manu would be third.
It's tough. It's honestly tough because they both have decent base. It's just obviously Holmes has the highest ceiling, but Aiken at 1%. If you can keep scoring, it's tough. That's why I don't have a decision right now. I'm not just ghosting it. I don't know which one I'm going to go.
I think I would go Aiken, especially with that base and playing second row. That draw, he's got potential for attacking opportunities. Whereas Holmes,
just does he stay there? That's what I'm worried about. Will he stay at second row for the rest of the year? If he goes to centre, he's got a bit of an injury concern. I guess so does Holmes, but you don't know.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Jake?
I don't mind all three options. Joey Manu's an interesting one. I think even at centre, I think he's still going to roam around the field and get heavily involved. Where previous years or even earlier in the season, he kind of just stayed out in his centre. But he seems to be getting involved on both sides of the field regardless. Sort of like we call it the Tommy Trebojevic thing, I guess, now. But you and Aiken, like Mike, I mean, he looks so good in the second row. He's getting, like 50 plus in base. But I guess there's always that chance that he could end up, like I think they had an injury in the centres. And he ended up going in the centres for like last 20 or 25 minutes of that game. So there's always, like, he's the next one down to go to the centre where he's going to get 25 points. But yeah, Val Holmes, I mean, I liked him last week. And although they had no ball, he still got, nearly 90 points. And he's heavily involved in the Cowboys' attack. Such a high ceiling. So I think I would put Val Holmes at the top of those three players.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think with Aiken, I like him the most, but he needs to stay at second row. If he stays at second row, I think he could be a master move with 1%. Holmes is still only owned by 9%, but I do think 2,000 people are bringing him in this week. It's just, it depends. Do I want to? Either way, they're both going to be pods. It's just, which road do I want to go down? I think Holmes. I know Aiken's going to score a try this week, and I think he'll be a very successful option. But you're right. One injury, he goes down to centre, and yeah, it could be a dog's breakfast. So it's something to think about.
I like it. The Shady SC.
What about yourself, Sats? What are you doing, mate?
The Shady SC lurker. I'll go on with what I'm doing in a second, but that's Timmy. He's definitely having a lurk, gathering all his knowledge for the week coming up. Anti-lockdown haircut advice for listeners. Now, let's have a go at this. Have a look.
Brace yourself. Look at that.
You need a sound effect of like horror music.
Oh, yeah.
What an absolute hack job that is.
Yeah, so it's that part.
It looks even worse
no.
every time you look at it.
I actually rate it.
Yeah, of course you do.
All right. I guess yeah. So I got 1135. Did I win many last week? Won a few. I think the Colonel came up and said I lost like 8 out of 10 or something, or 6 out of 10. But I made it through to the finals in I think like 5 or 6 leagues. So because I had such a strong start, I did well. I even came second in one of the comps. I was minor premier all season in one of the comps as well. And then the last week I was undone, which is a bit disheartening. But I think I got through in a few good leagues and looking to push ahead. Got in Braden Trindle, which was a terrible move because Cody Nikorima ended up getting...
tried to warn you.
Cody Nikorima actually ended up getting more than him and played probably half of the game. And I got Cody
I can't believe you did that trade. Oh, I just shook my head when I saw it live. I was really upset for you.
And I got Cody Nikorima's score anyway because I needed to take an AA for Ben Hunt and Jaden Brayley, which was... Like, it could have not gone worse for me. But I think 1135 wasn't terrible. Went down 400 spots to 2,100. So, Mikey, you're right on my tail. With a trade left, you could overtake me.
I'm close.
So, I guess we'll...
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. That's why I don't want to get homes. I want to be different here. But, see how we go.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how we go. Nicholas Heffernan here says, good luck with head-tab matchups this week, lads. Very big personality.
You too, mate.
Big personality in the Supercoach Central page. Posts a lot of good stuff there. So good luck to you as well, mate. So let's move on to, I guess, the teams and the games this week. Yeah, I guess we'll just move on to the promo first. TopSport have jumped on board as the Supercoach Experience sponsor. Australian owned and run, TopSport is the place to go for all your betting needs. They have specialty markets that all the other bookies don't have, plus an easy-to-use app to navigate. They've already helped us so much, and we want to keep helping them, and we want to help them help you. So if you love a punt, you'll love TopSport. Head over to topsport.com.au. Use the code SCExperience when signing up. That lets them know you're coming from our show, and they'll take extra good care of you. Over 18, gamble responsibly. Use the app TopSport for all your betting needs. All right, moving into the games this week. Thursday night, Melbourne play the Raiders. Hot topics aren't here this week because there's not many hot topics. There's a lot of suspensions and things like that. So we'll go over that when we go through the teams. Storm and the Raiders. The big hot topic from this game is Nicho Hynes, Ryan Pappenhausen, Brandon Smith and Harry Grant. How do we think that's going to play out? Nicho Hynes in the last 2 weeks has only played 40 minutes or so. Still scoring okay because he's getting a try assist in that time. But what are your thoughts, Mikey, on Nicho Hynes moving forward? Are you going to play him or are you going to rest him?
I don't know. Obviously, with my centre wing chaos, I don't have any choice but to play him. I think when I get like Brian To'o, if he comes back, then I probably won't play him. If I have 5 centre wings, he'd be the one to take a rest. Same when Campbell Graham's back. It's a tough one to judge. You're right with what you said. He is kicking goals while he's on the field, which is great. But how long is it going to take till he goes to the bench? I don't know if he'll force his way into the centre wing or, maybe they do rest Jerome Hughes for a game, but then that would also be bad for my team. I'm really unsure. I could understand if you had the trades moving on Nicho Hynes, I would totally understand doing that. But aside of me, he's only one injury away from getting that 80-minute rollback, which if he does get that in the preliminary final or the finals, like the grand final, like that'd be massive for your team. So either way, I would just plug in. This week, I'm playing him. If you can keep scoring about a 40 or 50, yeah, sweet. I think there's a lot of points on offer for the Storm this week against the Raiders. So, yeah, if you can sell. But, yeah, I think if you've got the coverage, you're better off holding him and playing him if you don't have better players that are, got good matchups.
Jake, what are your thoughts on the other side of the park with Harry Grant and Brandon Smith? Obviously, Harry Grant has been a popular purchase in the last couple of weeks, but it doesn't look like he's going to get to that 80-minute role. What are your thoughts on him, and is he as much of a must-have as people are playing it out to be?
I mean, regardless of Harry Grant playing 80 or not, I think he's still going to get you. I think he comes on around the 20-minute mark. So he plays 60 minutes, and in that time, he's setting up tries, making line breaks, scoring them. So, and the Melbourne Storm are the most attacking team. So he's going to get attacking stats regardless. And all the other hooker options. I mean, there's not really any other ones there.
They're dog shit.
Brandon Smith's kind of fallen off a bit of a cliff recently. I mean, I think he's scored back-to-back 40s or something. So, I mean, Brandon Smith's sort of the one that's suffering the most. Harry Grant's still getting heaps of points. I guess with the hookers, you can kind of put, I mean, Damien Cook's sort of up there still. Victor Radley's been going all right, but he kind of relies a bit on attacking stats as well. But other than that, I mean, Marnie going down, Harry Grant's probably the best option. So I can see why they're going that way.
Yeah, I think Harry Grant is by far the best option, but not by that much. So I feel like...
not by as much as what people...
Yeah, I guess for someone like Tim who got in Harry Grant, it's probably the best decision to make because he's the best one. But if you don't have trades up your sleeve, it's probably not worth filling in that position to upgrade a Brayley or a Watson. That makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, if you already got people playing in that position, then just keep them playing and upgrade somewhere else where you've got players that are gone for the season.
Yep. And for the Canberra side, Corey Harawira is still on the bench, so obviously you're selling him, Mikey. Do you see him getting back into the starting side at all?
He could, and that's the risk about selling him because maybe it's better for my team to sell someone that's not going to play for a couple of weeks because he could become a crucial number. If he gets back to an 80-minute role, then yeah, he's a must. But with Canberra trying to hang on to this top 8, they're going to keep switching it around to get a victory. And right now with that 25, I don't want to cop an AE of 25. Now I've only got 18, 19 players. I think my lowest score could be about to be a 50. That's where I kind of want to be, so I'll take the risk. But I think the positive things to note is that Ryan James and Corey Hosber have gone over to the Bulldogs, which would cover in their team list. So maybe there's a bit more job security there. I don't think he'll completely drop out of the side. It means that they won't be able to move him around as much. Like you won't see him bringing too much more because there are two other guys that I was worried about. It just depends. If he has a really good game off the bench, maybe he gets more minutes. But for me, it's too much question marks. And his floor, he got like 30 minutes last week. It's really bad. So, yeah, it sucks because I thought he's been really good all year. I know he makes some poor decisions here and there, but his attack is really good. So, yeah, it's sad to see. But, yeah, for me, time to move him on.
I think Hudson Young's a decent replacement. So if they didn't have someone like Hudson Young waiting on the bench as it was, he probably wouldn't have got dropped. But yeah, I guess hard one there. For all the games, we're going to pick our possible highest scorer for the game. So I'll go with you, Jake. Who do you think the highest scorer in this game is going to be?
I'm going to go Cam Munster.
Cam Munster. Mikey?
Jerome Hughes.
I think Ryan Papenhuyzen is going to come back and put a nice score on, hopefully. Next game, Dragons versus the Panthers. With the Panthers, Cleary, extended bench. Pangai Jr., extended bench. Stephen Crichton is back in the centres. Momorowski, Staines, Naden on the wing. So Luai is at 7 and Burton at 6. Burton coming off a 125. Do you see Cleary coming back into the side this week, Mikey?
It's a tough one. I think he might. It depends if he's 100% fit, but I think the Reid Marnie news would have scared maybe the Panthers a little bit, going, all right, look, he's come back from a shoulder injury, played all right for 2 weeks, and he's gone and he's out for the season. I think that is obviously what the Panthers are trying to avoid. I do think that 1 to 17 you see will not be. A lot of it doesn't make sense. Like Taylor May, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. He was really good. I saw him in the trials. I thought he was great, but he come out and really did what like Brian To'o does. So I really think you'll see even Naden, or because he was ruled out with injury, Momorowski got a bit of head knock. I think one of them will be out for Taylor May. I think he'll come in for Naden. And Cleary, maybe he just, because now that Coruscant's out, Kenny will move to hooker. I think Cleary may potentially come in on the bench and they just ease him back, see how it is, but I don't think he'll play 80 minutes. So if he came back in and he was on the bench, I don't think I'd play him in my Supercoach side if I had him. Maybe you could, because Cleary, he could do a lot in 30 minutes, but I think when they bring him back, he'll be ready to go. But maybe they take the cautious approach and get him ready for the Bunnies game next week. So I guess it's the second game. So if you did have a trade left, you could hold and wait and see. But I don't know. It's too hard to call. Everyone's saying he's looking good, but maybe I reckon they should just rest him another week.
I think Api Coruscant was ruled out with suspension. So Kenny will come in.
Yeah.
So someone will come onto that bench. So whether that's Pangai Jr. Or Taylor May, Jamin Salmon, looks like Pangai Jr. possibly.
He'd probably drop out. Yeah, Jermaine Hopgood probably drops out for someone like him, and then they could bring on Cleary and TPJ for Jermaine Hopgood and that spare spot. That's what I think might happen.
What are your thoughts on Taylor May over possibly Charlie Staines when everyone is fit? Or do you think the Charlie Staines with the speed factor actually gives them a good dynamic?
I think what they need to do, especially while you're saying when Toto's back, I don't mind having speed on one side and then a hard worker on the other side. It could work with both. Look at Toto and Mansell last year. That worked a treat.
Yep.
They've re-signed Staines. He's on a decent money contract. I don't think that will happen. But Taylor May should definitely be the next person you pick after it. I just thought the work rate he did on the wing, and we were really missing that in our last couple of games. And to have something like that back, I thought he was really good. And someone like Tago as well, he's been absolutely outstanding. Realistically, I would have him and Taylor May on the same edge together. Last week, look at the amount of experience they have in games and the way they performed against the Roosters. I thought we looked way better when they were both out there. So I'd really find an 80-minute spot. I'd get rid of Momorowski and Naden and have both of them on one side. But obviously Crichton comes back this week. They'll probably keep Momorowski in there, which is fine. But yeah, I don't think it will happen, Sabs, but I wouldn't hate it. I think I actually brought him into my draft side this week. I think he'll be a sneaky play against the Dragons for draft sides. I got him in just in case he's a late inclusion. So I think he's a great pickup for draft.
Yep. Jake, Matthew Duffy named at number 18 with Jack Bird being the first string fullback. As someone who owns him, how did you feel about the updates and how he played on the weekend?
I mean, Jack Bird, he had 20-something runs, 10 tackle busts, so I knew the updates were coming because I kind of missed a bunch of them. And, I mean, he kind of got the ball out wide and sort of just carted it, didn't really look to pass the ball wide. So, I mean, he didn't look the best at fullback. Duffy, Savs, not Duffy.
Did I say Duffy again?
Better fullback than say Jack Bird. Yeah, you said Duffy.
Oh, God.
But I think the fact that Duffy's on his way out, I think they'll probably keep Jack Bird there. And I guess he's an all right play. He's going to get you at least 45, 50 if he's at fullback for Jack Bird. So, I mean, my centre wings are kind of all injured, so I'm happy to play Jack Bird. But just on sort of the thing with Taylor May, I guess, playing over Brent Naden. Naden's off the Dogs next year, so I don't see the point of, say, playing Naden over Taylor May when they pretty much offer almost the exact same thing, where one's staying at the club and much younger.
I agree. And who's going to score the most in this game, Mikey?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Burden again. We're going to go a shock surprise. Let's give it to Luai. Let's hope Luai stands up in this game, and we'll go. Yeah, Luai. I was about to change the kick out, but no, we'll go Jerome Luai for a real shock performance.
Yeah, I think Luai as well. Jake, where are you?
I'm going to go Critter hat-trick.
Critter hat-trick, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Roosters versus the Broncos. The Broncos have heaps of changes, but nobody cares. In the Roosters side of things, Angus Crichton is out, and Nat Butcher is in there at the second row. So I know we've kind of dabbled in the Nat Butcher buy in the past when their second rowers are out. He's a decent option. He gets some attacking stats here and there. So that could be a good draft pickup maybe if you're in draft finals. Maybe not a classic buy, but yeah, they're looking not too bad. Joey Marni's still at centre. What do we think of this game, lads, and how are we going to tackle owners of Angus Crichton?
You can go first, Jake.
Well, yeah, that's the big one. I mean, Angus Crichton's 3 weeks, which he comes back in the grand final round. I mean, if you've got good enough depth, keep him. But if you're needing wins and you're needing people on the park, then he's going to have to be a sell. I know Tahu is sort of a massive option. Cam Murray seems the obvious one. If people already don't have him, and I guess Tyson Frizzell's the more pod option to go. But what do you guys think? Angus Crichton, and who would you sort of go for if you're forced to trade him?
Well, I kind of touched on it before. I really looked at it. I think you'd go Cam Murray. He's got a lot of attacking stats. I understand that, but he's been excellent. He's around the same price bracket as him. But at the same time, if you can afford to, and like me, you've got to use your last trade on something else, I think you could hold on to him. The fact he's taken 3 weeks. If you're confident, you're in a few top fours, and you like the look of your side, and you think you can get into the grand final, I think he'd be crucial to play in that last round. You could also say you could antipod, bring in a gun like Cam Murray, and just hope he goes subpar in that last performance. He totally could. But at the same time, with the minimal trades, I'd like to hold on him and then be able to bring someone back in for that last round. He could, people like him and To'o could really make or break your super coach round, because you've got to expect in that last round a lot of players are going to get rested, and the Roosters might opt to rest a few players if they're not hunting for a top spot. You might see them rest a few players, and I know they probably can't afford to. I don't think they'll rest Angus Crichton. They'll bring him back in, rest someone else potentially. So it's a tough one. I also think Luciano Leilua is an excellent buy at second row. And even Viliami Kikau, he's starting to find his stride. I think Kikau's in for a huge game against the Dragons this week. So he normally does. He terrorizes edge. No Tariq Sims this week. I think he'll terrorize the Dragons' edge. So I'd be looking at those 3 blokes to replace him. Those other 2, not Cam Murray, they're good replacements for Hawera Naira if you want to trade him.
I think Cam Murray's not a bad buy, but I think he's not as good as people are talking him up to be. He's kind of lost his Supercoach credentials in the last couple of years, but in the last few weeks,
he's back this year.
Yeah, he's earned them back this year, which is good. I actually think like Luciano is a decent shout. Kikau's a decent shout, but there is one that I would heavily consider. If you don't have Mitch Barnett, Newcastle have to play well to make it in the finals, and he's back to second row with a Fitzgibbon injury. Scored a try on the weekend, 78. I have him, and he's probably not my favourite option to play every week. I've actually left him last week. I've played him most weeks, and then I left him on the bench last week when he scored a try and absolutely devastated. But it looks like he'll be back to 80 minutes, and Newcastle need to find something, and who knows? He could be a decent one, but he's not a pod, so I probably wouldn't recommend it. Who's the high scorer in this game, Jake?
I think James Tedesco. He's in sensational form at the moment, and against a Broncos team which leaks points, I think it's Teddy's time.
Mikey?
I'm going to go, just to be different, I'll go Sam Walker.
Sam Walker. I'll go Teddy. Titans versus the Rabbitohs. Mansour stays on the wing, and they're pretty much unchanged apart from that. Arrow in the second row. For the Titans, Fogarty is not back. He's on the extended bench, though. And Fafita has been named on the bench in number 12, which is very interesting. What do we think of Fafita at number 12? And how about the third-ranked person bringing in Toby Sexton and captaining him? What a ballsy move.
What did he score?
66. But he got...
didn't work.
He got a lot of attacking stats. So I think he got 2 try assists and a try maybe.
I don't think he scored a try, but yeah, he's an excellent striker of the ball. His goal kicking is unbelievable, and Fogarty's actually fit to come back. And he's Sexton's keeping Fogarty out of this side, and Fogarty's the co-captain, so it is a big surprise. I'm shocked he's not in there. I personally would probably drop Ash Taylor back to the bench or have Fogarty in there over him. But yeah, that's a move that I wouldn't do. That's absolutely crazy. But yeah, another good one to bring in a draft, or if you had the extra trades. You know, you might have been better off getting Sexton over Trindle, Sabs.
I think so, but it feels like such a waste using a trade on and gaining that much money, if that makes sense. Like having...
Yeah, I think it would hurt knowing that you could utilize that money to get in a gun, but you can't.
Yeah.
But on to David Fafita. It's interesting on a bench. One thing importantly to note is he absolutely had a barnstormer the last time he versed South. He scored 150. I think this will be a lot closer game than you think. Titans are in the same boat. They need to keep on winning. The defense have really improved over the last 3 weeks. So I think they'll give it to him. I think Fafita's in for another ton or so. And I still think he's a sneaky option as your captain or VC. I think there's a lot of options this week, but yet again, everyone's going to probably steer towards Turbo. But yeah, look, it doesn't matter that he's on the bench. He's coming on with a lot of energy and he's still finding that line. So I do like it. And the Bunnies, it's like if we knew Johnson was out longer, I think Josh Mansell would be someone I'd bring in because that 160 on the weekend was absolutely huge. And as you said earlier in the season, Savs, or a few weeks back, anyone in that position on that side is Supercoach gold. And yeah, I'm glad I got him in my drafts. I better be really good to get him in. But who gets dropped? I think if he gets moved to the other side, he's not as good. They have too much depth in their back line, so it's too tough to call.
I did call it the other week. I said Josh Mansell would be a nice little play. Obviously, knowing Johnson to be back, it's kind of like with the limited amount of trades everyone has, it's kind of a stupid move. But I'll take credit for that one. Who do we think is going to score the highest in this game, lads?
David Fafita.
Jake?
I'll go with Latrell Mitchell.
I'll go with I'll go with David Duncan Gagai for this one.
Pod.
Cowboys versus the Tigers. Have we caught the Tiger Tails?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, it's on my list to watch.
Jake, have you seen it?
It's a good watch. It's a good watch just to see behind the scenes stuff. I think we mentioned it on when they had their first episode.
Yep.
It's just great to see the behind the scenes stuff. Sort of what a coach goes through. I know there's a lot of expletives dropped from good old Madge, but I mean, it's just see the passion and sort of how everything reacts inside a club. It's just great watch.
It's a bit weird.
If you haven't, recommend watching it.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like it's a bit weird how they cut out some F-bombs, but then...
Yeah, I
it's weird.
Work that out. There was some of them I've lived, and then there we go. We'll just say it.
Yeah.
Either way,
he said it like every second word, but then I think he was like in the dressing room or something, and they bleeped it out or something. But yes, that is a good watch, and it makes you realize that they're not a club, and probably most NRL clubs are not clubs that train to be shit clubs. Like that, they're training at the elite level. They're just not getting the results.
Yeah. Exactly. You're right on that. But moving on to teams, I guess.
Yeah. So Valentine Holmes retains his spot. Taumalolo broken his hand, so he's quite popular. And
for the third time,
well, fractured, wasn't it? A fracture, or was it a break?
Fracture.
I think it was a fracture in his hand.
He's fractured.
Yeah,
so it's only 2 to 3 weeks again.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. Very convenient timing considering there's a bit going on at the Cowboys. But he's broken his hand again, and people who own him, it's really bad news for them. Costa, who was actually up there with Timmy all season, he's got no trades as of 2 or 3 weeks ago. He got in Pappenhausen, and he played 14 last week. Crichton and Taumalolo's gone for him, so I think he's got like 13 or 14 this week. Absolute. I mean, you could be.
Can't believe it. It's a nightmare.
You could be up there all season, and then something like this. I'll be surprised if he stays in the top 10,000. Like that's how far back I think he can go because of having no trades and having no depth. I think that just proves you need depth. You need You need to set up your side. You need trades at the end of the year. I know I've kind of been a bit lucky with injuries, but who knows? After this week, I could be in shambles. So Luciano Leilua, Sean Bloor is a kind of nice one for some owners who may have bought him as enough at the start of the year. He actually scored 50 odd on the weekend, so he's looking quite good, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, if you've sort of kept him on for, all that time, then, yeah, he's definitely a play with such, I guess, heaps of people being injured, and he's got 50 the last couple of weeks. Looks to break the line and do an offload. I mean, he nearly had a line break assist, but I think whoever the centre was dropped it cold. So, yeah, I mean, he's looking all right, but Luciano on the other side, he's their attacking weapon just outside Dewey. And like we mentioned before, if you're getting rid of Angus or even CHN, then Luciano looks a good buy with the Tigers sort of having they have Penrith in one of the games, but the rest of them are a winnable or high-scoring game, so he looks a good bring-in, Luciano.
I agree. Timmy's just messaged the group saying he could be wrong, but he's pretty certain they bleep out the swearing if kids are in the shot. So that would make sense, right?
Yeah, no, that makes an awful lot of sense.
He's observant, Timmy. He's observant.
Very observant. I feel
that's why he's on top.
I feel like I would have not noticed that because, like, the kids hear it live. Like, what?
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense. It makes sense. So, who's scoring the most in this game, though?
Just quickly, Sabs, another option that I did mention a couple of weeks ago and he's gone on nicely since I brought it up is Kenny Mamalo is a bit of a pod centre wing. He scored 50 the week before, double on the weekend for 80. Great pickup for draft and stuff. And yeah, with their run, there's a lot of options at the Tigers, that aren't owned by too many. So, yeah, high scoring in this one. We're a bit disappointed with Dewey last week, but I think he'll repay owners again this week. So I'll go Dewey.
I got to stick with Dewey.
He wasn't that disappointing.
Yeah, he scored it.
I expected a lot more. That's what I said. He was good, but I did expect a bit more from him. With 20 minutes to go, I thought at least he'll get to a ton. But
he scored 86.
Yeah, he updated nicely. Yeah, I was still a touch disappointed.
Yeah. Nah, he's been out. Go.
I was just going to say my. one. I'm going to go Adam Dewey as well.
Yeah, I'm going Dewey as well. He's been an absolute revelation this year, I reckon, playing in the position that he grew up playing. What are your plans for him next year? Like, I feel like he's such an underrated Supercoach player at the moment. He's not very highly owned still. What are your thoughts, Mikey, on him possibly next year? Is he someone you would consider starting with?
If it goes off anything of this year, he should be a centre wing 5'8", which I think is huge. If he's a centre wing 5'8", I could 100% at this point, he'd probably be the number one centre wing. I think next year, with the crop of gun centre wings, I could see myself starting with either To'o or Dewey. Spend the money on someone like that who can just get a lot of base points. But the thing is, he kicks goals. He's heavily involved in the Tigers' attack. And even when the Tigers have been doing so poorly, he's been so good. Dewey, someone when he entered the NRL, I just don't know why I didn't like him, but he's just a player that I've quickly loved. I just love the way he plays and the influence he has on such a team. I just thought he was not good at all. He's a very underrated player and he's starting to get a bit of that credit now. And yeah, he should be available in centre wing. He played 4 or 5 games there. He didn't really play much fullback. I'm hoping it's got to be a centre wing 5'8". If he's a fullback 5'8", could you start as your sole 5'8"? 100%, and I think he'll be under 10% ownership. It'll be like when Cody Walker was always a pod at the start of the year. I think Dewey will be that for a couple more years.
That's a huge shout. If he's in the centre wing, heavily considered, averaging 78 at the moment, so he's going to be expensive for centre wing, but he's going to score them points. And yeah, I agree with you. I thought he was a bit of a kind of good at each position, but didn't really stand out. But I think this year, just like he's in good form and playing 5'8", it's his position, and I love him. And he's got a cheeky smile. All right, Manly versus Parramatta. Isaiah Papali'i is in the front row. I guess RCG is out. Sean Lane to the second row, and they've got Michael Oldfield and. Yeah, it's looking pretty standard on both sides of the park. What are our thoughts here? Tom Trbojevic, captain.
Yeah, I think so. The first question, the first thing you mentioned, what do we think on Isaiah Papali'i? Do we think that him at front row, is he still going to get 80 minutes? Is he going to shift to the second row? Like there's going to be a bit more base stats on offer for him in the middle, but what do we see his minutes looking like, Savs?
I don't think he's been playing 80 minutes anyway. Him or Ryan Madison haven't, so I think it's probably
He's been playing like still big minutes.
Yeah,
do you think they will drop?
They'll drop to 55 or 60, I reckon. It's probably a bit worrying, but since everyone has him, you just don't worry about having, just don't consider him to put the armband on, because at least he won't be isolated with another half or a centre running at a centre. Them attacking stats may not come, but he'll still score well, surely. He played.
Yeah, hopefully.
He played in the middle off the bench at the start of the year, and that's when he was in great form. Jake, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think it really matters whether he's on the edge or in the middle. 50% of people have him, and they're going to play him regardless. So, yeah, I mean, he has been spelled on the edge in the last couple of games. He's been playing about 65. So I think the minutes are kind of going to be a little bit less than that, but he's going to get the same output in base. He's going to get you 60-plus points. So I don't think there's an issue with Papali'i to be thinking about at this stage of the season.
Yep. And who is going to score the most in this game, Jake? And is it anyone but Tom Trbojevic?
I mean, it might be someone who he's setting up. So I'll go Ruben Garrick rather than Tommy for this one.
How about Ruben Garrick punching out 110 against Melbourne?
Yeah, didn't see that coming, but great.
When you're outside Tommy, you can score anything against anyone. Let's be honest.
And Mikey, Tommy top scorer, surely?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's really hard to go past Tommy this week. The Parramatta have been up against top oppositions, and look what those sides have done to them. I thought Manly were very good against Storm last week. I think they'll put points on Eels. I do think Eels are going to be a little bit better. They need to be if they want to try and hang on to that top four. But this is a huge game for both sides. This is Manly's best chance to get one up to get into that top four, and same with Eels. It's their best chance to hold on. So it's a big game from both sides, and we know that Tommy rises to the occasion. Even against Melbourne last week, you wouldn't have been disappointed with that 87. So I don't see a world where Tommy gets I'm seeing a 130 minimum here, and it's really hard to not captain him, and it's really hard not to think he'll get the most points in this side. He's so heavily involved, the way he sweeps and the way he plays, and he's just so good to watch. So, yeah, I really think this is a great matchup for him, and he's scored really well against Parramatta in the past. So
yeah,
can't get past
150 odd against Parramatta earlier this season, and 2 try assists and 4 line break assists against Melbourne last week. That's I know that's not
huge.
Ridiculous stats, but against Melbourne, that's unheard of. So if you can do it against Melbourne, you can do it against anyone. So he's definitely my captain. Warriors versus Bulldogs. Are we interested in this game?
I said, really, the Bulldogs don't have anyone too much to concern about. I think Luke Thompson, he's back next week for the guys that have held on to him. I'm one of those. Looking forward to having him back. I think he adds a lot more to that Bulldogs side. On the other end of the park, the Warriors are starting just to win games that you didn't think they could. As I said, I'm very keen on Aitken. I think he's a solid buy, but Pete Hicker's he's a good one for draft. I got him in my draft side. He's also a decent pod. He scored 60 on the weekend. Not too much attacking stats in there. And the week before, he got a 50. So he's been good in his return. So, look, I don't know. I'd use it at my last trade on someone like him. But, yeah, definitely Aiken's going to be worth considered. He's a risk, but 1% ownership. I don't think he's going to go much over 3 or 4%. So, could be a good one for your head-to-head.
And who do we think's scoring the highest, Jake?
Reece Walsh. But before someone else jumps in, I think Josh Curran on the other side to Aiken had a bloody good game as well. I know everyone's could have traded him out, but a few I think might still have him. So, I mean, he's a goal one to sort of play up against. One who I thought was going well for the Warriors was Matt Lodge, but he got baited by Will Chambers, so he's out this week. I mean, he's been the last couple of weeks. He playing decent minutes, got an offload on him. So for those that sort of had him, unlucky, but he's just a one that's I've seen the last couple of weeks that's gone well.
Nice. I think. Who's scoring the most? Yeah, I'll go with Reece Walsh as well. And last game,
I'll go Aiken, of course.
Okay. Yeah. Sharks versus the Knights. Do we see a world where Kalen Ponga is a possible captain choice over Tom Trbojevic this week? I know you got him in, Jake, and his record against the Sharks is pretty good in the last few years.
Yeah, his last two games, he's gone 158 and 163 against the Sharks. He just seems to like torching us recently. So, and the way the Sharks sort of play, we were disgusting last weekend. How we didn't beat the Warriors with Kane Evans permanently sitting in the sin bin, I have no idea. And I think it's going to continue out. We missed that many tackles. Kalen Ponga running at us. I think, Kalen Ponga, I reckon, will torch us.
And he'll be the top scorer, you think?
Yes, I think he will be.
Yep. Mikey, who's the top scorer?
Yeah, I think Kalen Ponga as well. Just to your first question about the captaincy option, I could see a world where it works. But also don't forget in those two big scores, he would have been kicking goals. So I think if I had goal kicks, it might make me, feel like to put it on. I think the Knights will get away with this one. But just as I said with that Parramatta Manly game, I think this is a very important game for both of these sides. Same thing. They're both in that race. They get, two of those top 8 spots. And this win will put that team in a better position than the other. So, if there's any week where the Sharks need to turn up, it's this one. But with how disappointing they've been in the last couple of weeks, it's hard to tip them. So, yeah, I think Knights will put 13 plus on the Sharks. And I'm going Knights 1-12 with Kalen Ponga top scorer.
All right, I'll go Braden Trindle, highest scorer. Just to go a bit different.
I hope so, Sam. I hope so, mate.
But in a losing side.
No.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Facebook questions. There's not many, so we'll fly through it. One trade left, Nick Crawford. Foran is back up for hooker with Marnie. Would you trade Marnie to Radley or trade Hines to a gun fullback and roll with Foran for the rest of the season? Mikey?
I think I'd go Hines to a gun fullback. If you've got one last trade, bring in someone with an absolute high ceiling. I'm assuming your other fullback's Tom. If it is, then you've got Tedesco, Ponga. There'd be one of those two I'd bring in. I think Tedesco's run's really big. I think we didn't really touch upon on the Roosters game, but if you had James Tedesco, he'd be someone I'd really consider over Tom if you wanted a pod move. I think those two will score the highest scores this round. I think this is a round we see Tedesco return to above the 150 mark, and we know Tedesco's a kind of player that can go 200 plus at any point too. We know he could contend with Cleary and Tom for the record. So, yeah, I think you got to go the second fullback there.
Yep, I agree. You're better off getting someone who can go 100 plus and score 100 more on any given week compared to a possible 20 points extra a week at the hooker position. Adam Sargent, I have 3 trades left, 446 cash in the bank. Could you suggest an awesome backline pod for the run home or better off just getting Garrick? So it doesn't have Garrick. What pod would you go for in the backline?
I think Val Holmes. We've sort of mentioned all of them. Val Holmes, Ewan Aiken,
Gagai.
He's got Gagai.
He's got Dan Gagai.
He's got Gagai. Well, then those two. But I'd probably just go Garrick.
Yeah,
good enough pods. Like I think he's someone that could hurt you in a head-to-head final. I think you got to take Garrick. But if you wanted to go ballsy, take another goal kicker and maybe get Valentine Holmes.
I think looking at his side now, you'd probably go Johnson to Walker, and then you'd go probably Milne.
Sully to someone.
Or Milne to Aiken or Garrick. By the look of it. Jared Watson, Jake, I only got one trade left. Would you trade Gus to Crichton, Murray? Crichton to Murray.
What? Start again.
One trade left. Would you trade Gus Crichton to Murray or Luciano? Or he can move IPAP down and get a front rower.
No, I reckon it's the Gus to a second rower. I think. I mean, look at your head-to-heads. If you're not going for an overall rank, then look at your head-to-heads and base it off that. I mean, Murray is the more, I guess, premium pick, but Luciano is the one that you kind of look at and says, like, attack-wise, he's the one that can sort of more potty and go bigger as well. So
Yeah.
I think Luciano, but look at your matchups this week first.
Yep. Mikey, Ben Grayson, Angus to Murray or Grant. I assume he has Brandon Smith in the hooker area if he's considering Grant. What would be a better option there?
Look, Murray's been awesome. I know you kind of talked him down a touch not too long ago. It's good to note that the Bunnies' draw is getting tougher. I think Titans could, fight him this week. The Panthers coming up, and then I think there's one more tough opponent for the Bunnies. So, I don't mind the other end of the spectrum there, and to go away from him and get Harry Grant. Yet again, if he was in like an 80-minute role, 100% you go in. But even without that, still a 50 from him last week, I think is pretty good. I think both of their flaws are similar. It's just who you think with their run home can match up. As I said, I think the Storm will put a lot of points on Canberra tomorrow night, and I do think Harry Grant will be heavily involved. So maybe I'm slowly edging towards Harry Grant, but I really do like both options. It's just Harry Grant has had a lot of problems with that hamstring. So maybe you play if you're with your last trade, was it? I think, you're better off maybe going the safer option there in Murray.
Yep. Where else are we? So we've got a few more questions left. We've got Michael Carver. Who would you play out of Stefano and Ryan James? Ryan James to the Bulldogs. Reckon he gets minutes?
He could with that bench makeup.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think Stefano's definitely a play. He's been playing decent minutes and looking pretty good, actually, Stefano.
I agree. Hugh Winchester, 3 trades left. Do I hold tight and only use them if I have to, or go broke bringing in the best possible side now? Good question.
Mikey?
Sorry, what was that one? I missed it. Cut out.
3 trades left. Would you use it if you have to? Or would you go for broke, bring in the best possible side now?
I would be tempted to use one for this week, at least one for this week. As I said, it's the first week of finals. If you're either in an elimination position or you're fighting to get a week off. So, if you haven't made those head-to-heads and you're just playing for overall, then maybe I'd hold tight. But I think this is definitely a week to make a move. I think yourself having, after one more trade, 2 left, that's huge for 3 more rounds. And the injuries are just, I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're going to continue. So I don't know if I'd use both this week. If you can bring in 2 big guns, go for it. If you're a little light this week, but if you're looking pretty good this week, I'd bring in 1 point of difference player. And then to add to that, keep those 2 trades for next week or the week after. Especially in a head-to-head position, I'd love to save at least 1 trade for the final round just to cover those resting. But unfortunately, you only have 1 left now. You might be in a position where you need to use it to stay alive. So,
Yep. And last question, Guy James, Luai to Munster or To'o to Garrick?
I wouldn't make either of those trades. I know I'm a Luai tragic and he's lost so much money. I know that's a huge upgrade, but I reckon there's at least 1 game where Luai can repay faith for owners and, have a look. I'm not sure when To'o's going to be back. I've said it all episode, but if he's going to be back, I think you want him. So, Look, you can't go past a Luai to Munster, but...
Yeah, I'd be leaning towards the To'o out one.
I agree. Ruben Garrick is just going to score probably the most points for a centre wing from now till the end of the season.
And you'd rather have some depth as well, I guess. You'd rather have people playing. And Luai's playing.
Yep. All right, let's move on to bold predictions.
There's one question actually in the chat. Adam Parker, need dual second row, front row for depth. Have IPAT, Twal or Tino an option, or who else? I think Thompson's probably the only other one.
And you can't get Thompson this week. Did he say He needs a front rower.
Well, if it's for depth, I mean, you wouldn't need it this week. So
I wouldn't waste.
I'd wait for next week and get Thompson.
I wouldn't waste a trade
Yeah.
on something for depth at this point of the season.
No, especially with the way the injuries are going. Simply field a good 17, and really the depth outside that. If you got trade, just keep going week by week so you can constantly field the best side possible. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think I wouldn't worry about depth. You bank him till next week.
All right, bold predictions. Let's go, lads. Our captain options are pretty obvious. Tom Trbojevic. So let's go with our bold predictions, Mikey.
Yeah, we'll go. We're going to include both of my options this week. We're going to go Aikens and Holmes. Obviously, I've only just realised that if I sell CHN, I'm going to have to make that trade before the round begins, which sucks. So, yeah, I'm going to go Holmes. I just feel a big scoring from this round. I'm going to go. He's going to ton up. And we're going to go Aiken. We'll get, another 80 plus from him. So that's 3 weeks in a row he'll go above 80. So, yeah, we'll go both of those guys. And I've been banking on this nearly every week, but let's go a little hard. I was going to go a Luai Resurgence, but I just got a feeling I'm going to go kick out for a ton. He hasn't got a ton in quite a while, and I'm just feeling an enormous game from him this week against the Dragons. Kurt Capewell being rested. So I think you'll see, kick out will probably play similar minutes than what he is, but he'll be used differently, obviously, because they just got Martin, him, and then it depends if TPJ comes in too. But yeah, we'll go kick out for a ton as well.
Jake?
I'm going to put all fullbacks in mine. I'm going to go Latrell, Teddy, Turbo, Ponga, and we'll throw Dewey available or to score a ton.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. 5, I like it.
I'm going to go the whole Manly backline except Brad Parker to ton up. So
why not Brad Parker?
Because
why don't you like him so?
He sucks. He's the worst player. He legit that last.
I think he's all right.
Nah, I hate him. He sucks. He grew on me for a bit, but the last play on the weekend against Melbourne, Cherry Evans threw a forward pass, but it was straight in his breadbasket, and he just completely dropped it cold. And I just feel like he doesn't take the little 1% opportunities that can be made by absolute freaks of the game. Like he's not a premiership winning centre.
He's not a talented or gifted sort of player. He's just a do my job sort of player.
Fucking ranger, that's what he is.
Well, okay.
You don't need to be like that.
And so the whole Manly backline except so that's including Foreign and DCE to ton up.
Oh, wow. You think the Eels are that bad?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of points on offer, but I don't think that much.
All right.
Cool. Thanks for coming on the podcast, lads. And I guess we'll see you all next week. And thanks for tuning in, guys.
I was going to just say, Sabs, I think we're not going to be seeing you for a few weeks potentially with the birth of your first child on the horizon. So congrats to you, man. Exciting times, but the show will go on. So
yes, thank you. I nearly forgot to mention that. So next week I'm actually at work. So I've got Tuesday and Wednesday night. So the show will be run by someone else. But my wife is 37 weeks pregnant, 37 and a half weeks. So I think by the time the next episode I'm ready to do, the baby would have come by then. So hopefully we can... I'll still be here to produce it, but if the baby's sleeping, I don't think there's going to be a podcast being able to be recorded by me. But I guess we'll see. And I guess also congratulations to all the cash comp winners. We posted them on Monday, I think. And there's still
the minor premiers.
There's still a few minor premiers that have we done them all?
I'm not sure if there is any. Hit us up. We'll double check. And good luck to everyone that's made the top 8 as well. We tried to be pretty good and pay off everyone. Same thing as soon as the finals are done. Same thing. We'll do a post. Hit us up, and we'll get you paid with what you deserve. So good luck to everyone, and the people in our overall group. Good luck to them too.
And
So I think the guy sitting in 3rd or 4th overall's leading our league because Timmy actually didn't join our league, which is a big surprise.
yeah, he didn't join the league,
Yeah.
coming first. But we've got a Supercoach Championship ring to give away after the last round. So we'll make sure we give that away on the last episode. So if you're in the top 20 in that overall league, you're a chance to win it. So cheers, guys, for listening. And I guess Mikey and Jake, we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Good luck with your week.
Would anybody like some pound cake? I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some I'd like pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. Some pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake. Some cake. I'd pound cake. Some cake. I'd like some pound cake.